Hey, thank you for joining us today for the panel for ROI of hiring veterans, understanding their value as a strategic investment for business. In the dynamic and competitive landscape of today's job market, businesses are continually striving to find innovative strategies that can enhance and provide a competitive edge. One particularly effective approach in the recruitment of currently serving veterans and military spouses who possess a wealth of skills and experiences that can significantly benefit organizations. This panel will discuss the compelling returns on investment associated with hiring veterans, illuminating both quantitative metrics and qualitative advantages that extend well beyond standard evaluations. Please type all questions into chat, and if we have time at the end of the panel, we will address. Now I'd like to introduce you to today's panel, starting with Kelly Burke.
Hey, good afternoon, good morning, no matter where you might find yourself. My name is Kelly Burke. I am a diverse talent strategy advancement lead at Humana. I am a social worker by trade, but very passionate about our military and veteran community, our military connected community. And I own our strategy around our military connected talent here at Humana. So happy to be here with you all this afternoon and to chat about the ROI of.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Jordana McGonigal. I am the founder and CEO of the Recon Network. We work with veterans and military spouses to help them find direction, purpose, and build self-awareness after military service. So I am excited to bring maybe a different perspective to the conversation about ROI. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks so much.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Louis Olander. I am Director of Research and Veteran Initiatives at Disability In, which is a nonprofit resource for our corporate partners in doing disability inclusion. We are building out and expanding our efforts to support disabled veterans with every day. I am myself a disabled veteran and a veteran of the U.S. Army. I was a medic in Baghdad 20 years ago.
Good afternoon, morning, wherever you're at to everyone. My name is Rob Arndt, and I am the CEO and founder of an organization called Buffer Springs. We are essentially a training and consulting firm dedicated to the eradication of underemployment within the military-connected community. For lack of better words, we help smart companies build effective, scalable, and sustainable military talent initiatives. I myself am a 14-year Marine Corps veteran. Half of that time was spent building up and going to Iraq and deployments, and the other half was spent on recruitment, retention, and manpower strategy for the Marine Corps before transitioning out to the civilian sector and making this my life's work in intersection to all that I do. So looking forward to talking with you all today and sharing some of our passion and experience of where we've all been around the board. Thanks.
So today, the first topic that we're going to get into is the financial advantages of hiring veterans. Employing veterans offers organizations significant financial benefits, primarily through substantial cost savings. One key program that you always hear discussed is the access to various tax incentives, such as the Workforce Opportunity Tax Credit, which can significantly reduce federal tax liabilities and offset hiring expenses. Additionally, veterans tend to exhibit strong loyalty and dedication to their employers, leading to lower turnover rates. This loyalty can result in major cost savings on recruitment and training, which can range from 50 to 200% of an employee's salary, depending on the role. By investing in veteran employees, organizations can achieve not only a more committed workforce, but also substantial financial savings. Jordana, what are some other ways that you see return on investment?
So I think I'll turn the question on its head immediately, I guess. I think one of the things that we need to consider is that maybe ROI isn't always just financial. Absolutely, there are benefits that can be had when you hire veterans. There are absolute returns on how they perform within the workplace. But what if we start thinking of ROI as cultural rather than simply financial, rather than a bottom line element? What if it is how your organization runs and how it grows beyond your initial plans, right? When you're hiring veterans, when you're hiring out of military service, you're hiring men and women who are used to thinking outside the box. They are used to creating teams that work synergetically. They're used to serving at another level. And so if we can start seeing ROI as not just money, not just productivity, but about longevity and about potential and about what they can bring to your team and how they can grow it from within, I think we will have a different conversation on why it's actually supremely beneficial to be hiring veterans.
Rob, do you mind sharing what your viewpoints are on for financial advantages hiring veterans?
Yeah, thank you. So there are monetary financial benefits to that. Obviously, cost per hire, cost savings in your recruitment force. I noticed my friend Joe Bodner in the crowd there had mentioned work opportunity tax credits. Those are great, and those are kind of a phantom return on investment for hiring veterans, but you can't plan around that. You can't tell what disability rating or whatever that I am and what return you're going to get on that. And nobody hires for tax incentives or kickbacks at the end of the day. What I really see that separates the return on investment from those that aren't getting a return on investment from hiring veterans is ownership. Companies that treat veteran hiring like a marketing checkbox are never going to get the return that you're hoping for. If you throw a logo on your website, you hire a few veterans and call it a day, that's not just strategy. It's not strategy, it's optics at the end of the day. Employers who are actually seeing long-term value on this and return on investment are the ones that bake this into their culture and into their systems. They align veteran hiring with actual real business outcomes that amount to lower turnover, stronger leadership pipelines, and better performance overall. We're not hiring veterans for what they represent. We're hiring for what they bring to the table. And then we track it. We measure it. We build mentorship and growth pathways. So we're not just hiring veterans and patting ourselves on the back. We're retaining them. We're promoting them. Veteran hiring is not charity. It is a competitive advantage for your organization. And the faster we get that point across, the faster we can actually solve this problem. The companies that we see that are getting this right are actually treating veterans like force multipliers. They invest up front, and every dollar that they're investing in their veteran programs that are intentional is coming out to $2.50 in return if you do this right and invest up front and do this for innovation and not for pity or patriotism or because you want to hug us. We don't want that. We want purpose. We want to go find our next mission and do it at your company.
No, well said. Kelly, how does Humana support successful transition and retention of veterans, since that's a huge piece of the ROI?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And when I think about the work that we've done here at Humana, and you have to give me some grace, the allergies here in the Ohio Valley are terrible. But Humana has implemented several initiatives to foster the transition and retention of our veterans and military connected associates. And we have within our military talent pathway, it includes a mentorship program. We have our employer resource group, which we call Salute NRG. The NRG stands for Network Resource Group. We have career pathing, targeted onboarding. But the biggest thing is really kind of making a menu of options. So to Rob's point, is there's a desire for purpose. There's a desire to get in and improve processes and do things better. And so allowing the individual to pick, what does that support look like for them? Because each person there's not a monolith, right, either. So we have to make sure that they have choices, they have what they need. So having that menu of options has really been, I think, a key driver for us at Humana for that successful transition and retention of the military connected associates, because when we think about placing them where they're going to bring the most value, where they find the most value, that's going to prevent us from getting into what is called that veteran churn, right? That most of us are familiar with that term. And we really aim for a 75% retention rate within that first year and a 90% retention rate for years 2 through 5, because evidence-based practices show that inclusion and belonging and the purpose are the key drivers of retention. And our programs are really designed to build these connections from day one, and keep that, as Jordana said, that longitudinal look at the retention piece.
Louis, I know that we've discussed in the past, because Sonepar is a partner with Disability IN. Do you mind discussing your viewpoints on veteran churn in the first year of employment?
Yeah, one of the great things about going last is that people have said most of the things that I had already wanted to say. I mean, excellent point. So I'm going to really try to underscore some things. There is a paradox in the research when it comes to the veteran churn, as it's called, that on the one hand, there are much lower retention rates in the first year for veterans, and also much higher rates of retention when you look at the long term. And I think that speaks to exactly what all the other panelists have spoken today, right? If you have a performative sort of flag waving, to use Rob's phrase, type of recruitment program that isn't followed up with some kind of retention strategy or thinking about how you retain people, you are going to lose folks as fast as you bring them in. So that importance of culture, which I know I've heard in some of the other panels today, is really is huge. It's hard to overstate. And if you want to tap that ROI, that phenomenal ROI that Rob talked about, you have to not just invest in recruitment, but also in culture and retention, because those things unlock the potential of veterans and disabled people and disabled veterans as a sort of subset of both of those groups.
Okay, so let's talk about then the impact of veterans on organizational leadership and innovation. Veterans bring a unique blend of strong leadership qualities, diverse skill sets, and innovative problem-solving abilities to organizations. Their extensive training, experience, and leadership enhance team dynamics and management practices, leading to improved performance and positive impacts on the organization's bottom line. Veterans are adept at critical thinking, quick adaptation, which enables them to provide unique perspectives that foster creativity and innovation and problem solving. With a wide range of skills, including technical expertise and essential soft skills like teamwork and effective communication, veterans enhance organizational effectiveness and adaptability. Jordana, what are some ways that versatility equips companies to navigate challenges and seize opportunities more effectively?
I think when we look at what typically happens in the corporate structure, we will see a lot of leadership development programs, right? We will see a lot of team building programs, and we will see a lot of these things that are geared toward building up leadership and helping people learn how to better problem solve. And the reality is that when you're hiring veterans, these are soft skills that are almost inherent at that point. They have been honing these skills, like you said, of adaptability, of resilience, of thought leadership for years, decades for some. And so when you are hiring veterans, you have sort of this unseen skill that is coming with them. And that is that adaptability. That is that way to see something differently, or to take very, very limited resources, right? And turn them into something that works, that functions, that gets the job done. And so while many, many companies, I think, are investing in a lot of the leadership programs and the stuff that develops team members, you can almost expedite a lot of that or augment a lot of that with the hiring of veterans, a very specific, conscious, and deliberate hiring of veterans.
Okay. Lewis, when we talk about skill sets, do you see from your foxhole, do you see that veterans are unemployed or overemployed? What's your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things that gets talked about a lot in the research that's out there is this sort of regular bemoaning or complaining that from HR professionals in particular, that a certain set of interpersonal skills are very hard to come by. They're, employers frequently sort of bemoan the lack of a certain number of skill sets that are also at the same time. Research shows that those are skill sets that are present in veterans. So to build on the list that Jordana sort of started, right? Attention to detail is a huge one. What role doesn't benefit from someone with a greater focus on attention to detail? And attention to detail, at least in the Army that I was in, was explicitly taught, right? And it was explicitly reinforced over and over. And so I think sometimes we get in this place where we look at what is the transferability of technical skills or MOS specific skills, but that also can leave folks out when their military skills don't have a civilian equivalent. Infantrymen, for example, and I think what I would hope is in addressing the underemployment, we take a sort of broader lens at what the skills are that military personnel bring to the table that they have been cultivated in them that are beyond just their MOS skills? What are those sort of personality skills, or personality traits, or things that look like personality traits but are actually cultivated skills in veterans?
I just want to highlight something here. I see Jim in the chat. Whenever I came out of the military transition in 2018, Jim was the first person that took a chance on me from Prudential Financial for the Hiring Our Heroes partnership. So part of this conversation, other conversations, is about those great connections that are out there that actually take and do what they say and actually bring those veterans forward. So without that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So sorry for that. I just saw it on there. I want to address that. Kelly, what unique skills and qualities do veterans bring to the Humana workforce?
It's a great question. And I want to think about for just a second what Lewis was talking about with some of those skills that might seem like personalities or, the type of traits, but they really are like finely cultivated skills that individuals have built within their military career. But I really liked that call out. So I wanted to double click on it. But veterans really, we know, offer a wealth of skills and attributes. And we've touched on a handful of them: strong teamwork, leadership, discipline, adaptability, problems, like the list goes on. And their experience in high pressure environments, working in ambiguity, it really cultivates resilience and a commitment to follow through on assignments. And I know within the tumultuous business of healthcare, especially with changing administrations, regulations, all of those things, we need that. We need that ability to perform in some of these spaces where there isn't a lot of information, there isn't a lot of tools, there isn't a lot of resources, but we still have this end goal or this job that needs to be done. And how do we get to that? And so these qualities, like I said, they really align with Humana's values of caring, curiosity, and commitment, and they contribute positively to our workplace culture and really our operational excellence. So how we're able to then give that back to our membership, including some of those federal contracts that we have within Humana Military and within TRICARE. So not only are we using those skills and cultivating that, but it's really this fortuitous cycle of being able to go back and also then serve the individuals who are still serving within the military side. So lots of great things that we've seen, both in theory, right, that we know that we've seen in the research, but then that we've seen in practice here at Humana as well.
Rob, as we take and discuss these topics, especially for the last two, what are the crucial organizational roles, or what is the crucial structure within an organization that needs to take part in this?
Great question. And some really solid points from all the other panelists on here. And I agree with everything that's been said. One thing that I want to highlight, though, is that my people, veterans, military spouses, active duty service members, we are wired for purpose. I joined the Marine Corps to become a Marine. I didn't really care what I was going to be doing. I was becoming a part of something bigger than myself, and I was serving my community and my other reasons for joining. We come from a world where every single role has meaning. Every mission matters. Every person counts. And that sense of purpose a lot of times disappears for us when we leave and go into the civilian world. And in that, our performance drops. And it's not because us as veterans or military spouses lack skill. It's because our systems lack clarity. The best employers that I've seen that have actually designed roles have connected them to purpose and performance. They're able to actually show the why behind the work. And this gives veterans the ownership for the outcomes that they're going to be just the tasks. In the military, we're used to commander's intent and having missions and not necessarily the beans, bullets, and band-aids that we need to get those done. But we come from those problem-solving environments there where accountability is encouraged, but it's not micromanaged. So we see cliche things out there like hire veterans and tell them to think outside the box when we've been operating like this for years in ambiguity, like Kelly said. So what we have to do is connect the purpose to the actual role and the people to that and give them a mission at the end of the day. If you give veterans a mission, there's nothing that we will not go through or not go over to accomplish that mission at the end of the day. It's purpose. It's giving them something bigger. To name drop a couple of companies, we work with Gilead Sciences and Kite Pharmaceutical. They are literally curing the world of cancer and AIDS and HIV. This is a mission bigger than any of us that we can get behind. Those are the type of companies and missions and things within our organizations that we need to bring out to the forefront so veterans can chase those and accomplish our business accomplishments in the process of doing that.
And can I just jump in really quick on that? Because
Go ahead.
that's where I am. So what we do at Recon is very, very, very purpose focused. So I feel like kind of my lane right now, but exactly what Rob said, exactly. If you can give, and it's not just your veteran employees, but especially your veteran employees, if you can give them the why, if you can give them the reason that what they are doing is important, even if it is putting together widgets on a line, how is it important? Veterans are geared towards service, towards giving, towards changing the world and making it better. And so if you can provide that direct connection to that mission, to the why, you can absolutely solve a ton of your retention problems, a ton of your hiring problems, because they will basically adhere to it. They will really, really thrive in it, and they will get the rest of your team to also adhere to it and also thrive within it.
I think it's also critical, though, that you have somebody in that organization that's at the leadership level that's helping put emphasis behind the military program and making sure that all HR business partners and hiring managers understand that veterans can be placed and military spouses can be placed at any role inside that organization. And that was critical for us. So we've had VP of Transportation, VP of Supply Chain, because Rob Taylor from Sonopar actually put, his emphasis behind that to make sure that everybody could see strategically that veterans could come and advance in every single role inside the organization. So let's move on to the impact of veterans on networking and workplace culture. Veterans bring unique and valuable networking opportunities to organizations, leveraging their extensive professional connections to foster new business partnerships and expand market reach. Their diverse experiences contribute to a more inclusive workforce, which can significantly enhance team morale and cohesion. As employees engage in a mission-driven environment, they're likely to feel more motivated and invested in their work, leading to improved collaboration with a harmonious workplace culture. Embracing veterans not only enriches organizational networks, but also cultivates a thriving, engaged workforce. Kelly, could you please share your thoughts on the impacts of veterans on networking and workplace culture?
Absolutely. And we sort of touched on it earlier in the conversation around our Salute Network Resource Group. That has really been instrumental internally and externally. So not only is that network resource group providing the opportunity for our military connected associates to have community connection, to do that networking, to build those relationships internally, but also the connections then that they've been able to build for us as a business externally. So bringing in, amazing partners that have been able to help us drive our business forward, that we never would have had any idea of who they were or where they came from or what they did without those military connected associates building those relationships and being part of that work together. I mentioned it very briefly, in a prior question too, about that menu of options. And one of those was the mentoring internally. And so matching the intention with that is to match the military connected associate with a similar cohort. So when we talk about that community, that belonging, that intention, that network, is getting them with somebody who has an understanding of what that experience is, because they've had that lived experience as well. So a military spouse, and I saw somebody put it in the chat, talking about like what that experience looked like for their wife. Like, you got to get a job, you got to do this, we got to be able to support our family. The military spouse experience is vastly different than it is for the veteran, even though they were walking along that journey, hand in hand. And so getting those individuals with that same cohort, right? Like, so the spouses are going to be talking with other spouses. They're going to be mentoring, connecting that way. Veterans who maybe are disabled veterans are also speaking with those other individuals, so that then it continues to have that ripple effect outside. That's where that conversation's starting, but that network can then build helping them navigate through the system of, understanding a complex corporate business that maybe they've never had an introduction to before. So just how that then helps to create that ripple for both that individual, but then also individuals who come after them, our business as a whole, both internally and externally.
Yep, absolutely. Lewis, do you mind sharing your thoughts on veteran skills being a good match for the?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about it on sort of two levels, if that's all right. One is sort of underscoring, in some ways, what Kelly had talked about, the collateral benefits of, in the disability employment world, and happy Disability Employment Awareness Month for everyone who's here. Hey, but one of the things that we take out of that I think is a very transferable thing to this conversation is the collateral benefits to the corporate culture of making an organization more inclusive. Yes, you make it more inclusive for those individuals that you design for. In this case, we're talking about veterans, but that has a tremendous benefit for everybody else when you activate those veterans and have them performing at full potential. So that's sort of part one of how I'd like to respond to that. The other one is sort of reflecting on a barrier that often comes up, which is, I think, this sort of belief that we have to have a perfect skills match to make a hire. And I think some of the most successful veterans that I've encountered are people who somebody took a chance on. That somebody said, I really just believe in you, and I believe that you're going to acquire the skills necessary to do this job, right? Because one of those other transferable soft skills that we talk about is an aptitude and an eagerness for learning a job quickly. I think it's a very sort of across the board truism that in a place where it's hard to find things that are true across the board. So my organization, Disability In, has a piece of research that we're doing this year that is hopefully going to enrich the conversation and the work that everybody else is doing here. Because I think one of the things that we found frequently is that we'll encounter, as corporate recruiters in particular, will encounter a veteran and say, hey, what kind of job are you looking for? And often, the nature of the job or the job title or the job function isn't something that they necessarily have in mind. Very often, to a point that was brought up in the chat, right, by Jason, is that you need to get a job, just get a job, right? And I think sometimes the lack of imagination on the part of corporate recruiters, what to do with that, can be a real hindrance. So we're looking at places where veterans have that work at our corporate partners, and disabled veterans in particular, are already thriving, and looking at them as pathfinders, as folks who can sort of scope out what is going to work. I know sort of already off the top that, compliance roles are often places that veterans thrive. Logistics and procurement roles are places that veterans thrive. So when you meet somebody who's great, but you maybe don't know what to do with their skill set, there's also that possibility. And taking that chance on someone, especially when you can give them a mission and a purpose, to Rob's point, I think you're going to really see tremendous collateral benefits across the organization.
And Chris, if I
Jordana,
can,
could you share?
I was going to say,
Go ahead, Kelly.
sorry, I just want to double click on something that Lewis said, and not to steal time, Jordana, but I'm thinking about how corporations can operationalize what you just talked about, and I think we are still learning through it, but we are working really hard in amplifying those individuals internally here who did have a chance taken on them, and how they've been successful. So giving that use case and saying, look, we took a chance on this individual. They've totally knocked it out of the park. This is your chance now to, have this individual and put them into a role and whatever, so that leaders, HR professionals, recruiters, whoever it might be, that it doesn't feel as risky to them to take that chance, because ultimately we have shown and proven to them, like, here it is. Like, you don't have a reason to say no. You don't have a barrier anymore, because I'm proving it to you. I'm showing you how to do that. And we've done that through a couple of cross enterprise showcases that we hold on a monthly basis.
And Jordana, if you don't mind sharing your thoughts on the impact of veterans and networking in the workplace and how you see it tying in.
Yeah, so I think Kelly and Lewis have covered tons of, obviously the incoming, the hiring, the benefits. And I think one thing that I would like to challenge not just the hiring departments, right, but leadership as a whole. So if we're looking at broad leadership of the company, how much are you trying to understand your veteran employees? Not just know them, not just hire them, but understand what they have come from, what their super skills are. Like, not just, hey, can you fit this job? Cool, sit there, do the job, we'll pay you, and that's it. Oh, and maybe we'll throw it in ERG somewhere, right? Maybe we'll get you your friends and y'all can have, beer on Thursdays and have a workshop and that kind of thing. And I'm not poo-pooing that at all. Like, please be doing that, because that's really important for kind of that peer culture. But at another level, I think where we start seeing companies really level up is when the organization as a whole, especially in the leadership areas, start expending effort to understand this demographic, to understand the challenges, the benefits, the skills, the talents, and beyond, sending HR through the Psych Armor program or another program, or bringing in a consultant, which are all great options. But beyond that, what are you doing to really know your employees, your veteran employees, your employees as a whole, but your veteran employees, and really being able to not only pull everything that's out of them, because it might not always be aligned with that job title, and you might be missing out a ton of benefits just because you don't know what you've got.
All right. So hiring veterans not only strengthens community ties, but also enhances an organization's corporate social responsibility initiatives. When businesses actively support veterans, they contribute positively to the local communities, attracting customers who value social responsibility practices. Additionally, organizations recognized for their commitment to employing veterans often enjoy a favorable public image, which boosts customer loyalty and helps attract top talent. This commitment reflects a strong sense of ethical business practices that resonate with clients, understanding fostering a positive reputation and branding for the organization. Rob, what are some ways that you see the impact of veterans on community engagement and corporate relations?
Yeah, thanks for directing the question to me. And to kind of caveat off one of Kelly's points earlier, veteran ERG groups, business affinity groups, internal programs for military veterans, I will say in my own bias but warranted opinion that this is one of the most underutilized assets in corporate America today. Too many companies are treating these like social clubs or a gun club for your veterans instead of a strategic engine for growth. A strong ERG helps you drive community partnerships. It helps you build brand credibility. It helps you strengthen your recruitment force. Veterans know and more importantly, trust other veterans. When you're taking care of ones of us or understand some of us, we'll lift as we climb. People like Jim are bringing people like Chris into your organization because real recognizes real, talent recognizes talent, and we understand each other even if corporate America doesn't. So those ERG groups need to be strengthened and not just be free coffee and donuts for veterans in the break room on Veterans Day and some different colored vest or whatever. They need to be upward mobility tracks. Your companies right now, from the latest SHRM, SHRM studies, HRCI studies, and everything that we've looked into, 80% of companies right now have a leadership bench strength gap in America right now. We don't have that problem in the military. Almost 90% of companies have a skills shortage. We don't have that problem in the military, but you need to know what you're looking at and understand where value articulates and translates over into your company. Those ERG groups need to be a growth zone. From those, activate your veterans. Don't send your recruiter to another job fair to wave a flag and hand out swag. Send your veterans out there and your military spouses to connect with their community and bring people in and give them a no shit reason and a story as to why you're there and why others should be there with you. It has to be real. No one is believing the flag waving and the veteran on your site wearing a American flag for a cape and missing a leg. Like, let's stop with the stock image stuff. Get with your veterans internally. Where did they come from? How did they get there? How can we find more talent like the ones that are already pushing your organization forward?
Awesome. Lewis, do you mind explaining the difference between demonstrating and substantial engagement versus public claims?
Yeah. So, and since Rob opened the door on it, I'm gonna walk right through it, which is that, you know, veterans have a very strong bullshit detector, right? I know that for me, coming out of the service 20 years ago, when the popular way that people showed support for the military was to slap a yellow ribbon bumper sticker on their minivan, you know, that was worse than doing nothing. In a lot of ways, I wish you just did nothing and then you didn't sort of have the latitude to pretend that you were doing something. Yeah, I think PG-13 is right. But yeah, no, I think that the understanding, veterans understand when somebody values them, when somebody respects them. I think most people do. And I think when you say, we are a veteran-friendly company, and that is all you do, that is the same as putting that bumper sticker on that van, right? And so I think moving from those sort of performative demonstrations into doing substantial, meaningful work, a great place to start, to Rob's point, is your ERGs, and moving them beyond coffee and donuts clubs and complaining sessions, and moving them into feedback loops that help drive cultural change based on values and value recognition. So yeah, I think that's a really critical piece, is that if you're saying you're doing it, but you're not doing it, we will be able to tell the difference.
So we have about 3 minutes here to wrap up. So I just want to put some out there. One thought that we'd like you to take away from today's panel is, where do you see the ROI of hiring veterans? Understanding their value as a strategic investment for business, moving to or shifting in the future. Or as everybody else put on here, you know, where do you really see this shit moving to and actually be able to take traction? All right. In an increasingly competitive job market characterized by rapid changes and evolving demands, the return on investment of hiring veterans becomes increasingly evident. While specific ROI figures may fluctuate based upon your industry, your company size, and individual job roles, the myriad advantages of employing veterans frequently outweigh the associated costs. The combination of financial savings, heightened productivity, and enhanced employee morale make the decision to hire veterans not only a socially responsible choice, but also a strategic investment for the future. By harnessing the unique strengths and experiences that veterans bring to the workforce, organizations can position themselves for sustained success while simultaneously making a meaningful contribution to society as a whole. Just keep something in mind. These are the sons and daughters of America that are serving in all volunteer force. So we as a society do owe them to take and bring them back into society and make them whole. Thank you for joining our panel today. Please feel free to connect on social media with any of our speakers and on today's panels. And I believe we have 1:51 for any questions that you might have in chat. Is there anything that any of the speakers would like to take and cover that we might have missed?
I'm going to say one quick parting comment, and that is, organizations can only be as strong as your people allow them to be, not your product, not the widgets you produce or whatever it is that's there. We live in a capitalistic society, don't get me wrong, but your organization can only be as strong as your people allow that to be. We have one of the strongest militaries in the world here in the United States. My branch, the Marine Corps alone, our job is to fight battles and win wars, and we haven't lost a battle in 250 years. Not because we're tough or whatever, it's because of organizational excellence and caring about the outcomes that happen. If you have that opportunity to hire people like that at your company, look at veterans and military spouses. If not, let your competitors hire them.
And I just want to highlight for Lewis, Disability IN. For anybody that is not working with that organization, I highly recommend sending, we send one of our ERGs, we actually send them down to the conference every year. Lewis and I are actually going to meet up in New York City and talk about some more things we can take and do directed to veterans and military spouses. But really take and check out these organizations. Jordana, do you want to talk about your event you have coming up?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So we actually have an event coming up November 14th that is completely virtual. One thing, that part about it that people here might be interested in, is that we have instituted a new program that is part of the event called Reverse Recruit. So if you think of the common job fair, we've flipped it on its head. Instead of giving the companies a booth and making everyone throw paper at you, we have given the job-seeking veteran, the job-seeking military spouse a free booth with a pitch, their resume, everything involved, so that you can search by keywords, by location, identify potential candidates who are active in the job search and actively, consciously work on hiring veterans and expanding your pool. So we've got that coming up. Website is thevetsummit.com, and I would love to connect with you before.
Awesome. And turn this over to Nicholas.